Barcelona is often described as one of Europe's most beautiful and culturally rich cities, but the modern city we recognize today did not appear overnight. Its transformation was the result of centuries of gradual change, punctuated by one extraordinary period of intense development. Among all eras in Barcelona's long history, the 19th century stands out as the single most important century of urban, economic, social, and architectural growth. This was the time when Barcelona broke free from its medieval constraints and reinvented itself as a modern European metropolis. This documentary explores, in detail, how and why the 19th century became the most transformative period in Barcelona's history. From the collapse of the medieval city walls to the rise of revolutionary urban planning, industrial power, and artistic brilliance, this century reshaped every aspect of the city's identity. At the beginning of the 1800s, Barcelona was still largely a medieval city in structure and spirit. Although it was one of Spain's most important ports, its physical layout had barely changed for centuries. The city was confined within thick stone walls built for defense rather than growth. These walls limited expansion and forced the population into an increasingly dense and unhealthy urban environment. The streets were narrow, poorly ventilated, and overcrowded. Houses were built tightly together, often rising several stories high to compensate for the lack of horizontal space. Sunlight rarely reached the lower floors, and fresh air circulation was minimal. As a result, diseases such as cholera and tuberculosis spread rapidly among the population. Despite these challenges, Barcelona's population continued to grow. By the early 19th century, the city had become one of the most densely populated urban areas in Europe. This created an urgent need for change, even though political and military authorities were reluctant to allow expansion beyond the city walls. The early 1800s were marked by political instability across Spain, and Barcelona was no exception. The aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, internal conflicts, and shifting power between liberal and conservative forces created an atmosphere of uncertainty. These political struggles slowed urban reform, but also planted the seeds for revolutionary change. At the same time, Barcelona's citizens were becoming increasingly aware of the limitations imposed by the old city structure. Intellectuals, engineers, and doctors began to argue that the walls were no longer protecting the city, but instead suffocating it. Public health concerns became central to the debate, as epidemics highlighted the dangers of overcrowding. This growing awareness laid the foundation for one of the most radical urban transformations in European history. One of the most powerful forces driving Barcelona's 19th century development was the Industrial Revolution. Unlike many other Spanish cities, Barcelona embraced industrialization early, particularly in the textile sector. Cotton factories, powered first by water and later by steam, spread rapidly throughout the city and its surrounding areas. Industrialization brought wealth, but it also attracted tens of thousands of workers from rural Catalonia and other regions of Spain. This massive migration intensified the housing crisis and increased pressure on the city's outdated infrastructure. Factories operated day and night, transforming Barcelona into an economic engine. The city became the industrial heart of Spain, generating new social classes, including a powerful industrial bourgeoisie and a growing urban working class. These social changes would deeply influence the city's political movements, culture, and urban planning decisions. By the mid-19th century, it had become clear that Barcelona's medieval walls were no longer sustainable. Militarily, they were obsolete. Socially and economically, they were disastrous. The walls prevented the construction of new housing, limited transportation routes, and made modern sanitation systems nearly impossible to implement. Public pressure to demolish the walls intensified after repeated outbreaks of disease. Medical professionals argued that the lack of air circulation and green spaces was directly responsible for high mortality rates. Economists and industrialists, meanwhile, saw the walls as barriers to growth and trade. Finally, in 1854, the Spanish government authorized the demolition of Barcelona's city walls. This moment marked a historic turning point and opened the door to unprecedented urban expansion. With the walls gone, Barcelona faced a critical question. How should the city expand? The answer came from Ildefons Serdfay, a visionary engineer and urban planner. Serdfay believed that cities should be designed to improve human health, equality, and mobility. His plan, known as the Eixample plan, proposed a vast grid extending beyond the old city. Unlike traditional European cities, which grew organically, the Eixample was meticulously planned. Each block was square with chamfered corners to improve visibility and traffic flow. Serdfay prioritized sunlight, ventilation, and green spaces. Streets were wide, allowing light and air to reach every home. Interior courtyards within blocks were designed to serve as communal gardens. His ideas were revolutionary and far ahead of their time. The implementation of the Eixample plan began in the latter half of the 19th century. Construction transformed vast areas of open land into an organized urban landscape. Although financial interests and political compromises altered some of Serdfay's original ideas, the core principles of the plan remained intact. The Eixample became home to the city's growing middle and upper classes. Elegant residential buildings lined the broad avenues, while shops, cafes, and offices filled the ground floors. This new district symbolized progress, order, and modernity. The contrast between the dark, crowded old city and the bright, spacious Eixample was dramatic. Barcelona had entered a new era of urban living. As Barcelona expanded physically, it also experienced a cultural and artistic renaissance. The late 19th century saw the rise of modernism, a uniquely Catalan version of Art Nouveau. This architectural movement emphasized creativity, craftsmanship, and symbolism. Modernism rejected uniformity and celebrated individuality. Buildings featured organic shapes, vibrant colors, and intricate decorative details inspired by nature. Architecture became a form of artistic expression rather than mere construction. This movement would permanently define Barcelona's visual identity. No figure represents Barcelona's 19th century transformation more than Antoni Gaudí. His work embodied the spirit of innovation and creativity that defined the era. Gaudí combined engineering brilliance with artistic imagination, creating structures unlike anything the world had seen. Projects such as Sagrada Familia, begun in 1882, pushed the boundaries of architectural design. Gaudí's use of geometry, light, and symbolism transformed religious and residential buildings into living works of art. Alongside Gaudí, architects like Lufeix Dom Feinech, I. Montaner, and Josep Puig i Cadafalch contributed masterpieces that enriched the cityscape and reinforced Barcelona's reputation as a center of architectural excellence. The 19th century also brought major improvements in transportation and infrastructure. Railways connected Barcelona to other parts of Spain and Europe, strengthening trade and mobility. Roads were paved, gas lighting illuminated the streets, and modern sewage systems were introduced. The port of Barcelona was expanded and modernized, reinforcing the city's role as a Mediterranean trade hub. These developments supported industrial growth and improved daily life for residents. Infrastructure became the backbone of Barcelona's modernization. Industrialization and urban expansion reshaped Barcelona's social structure. A strong middle class emerged, composed of merchants, factory owners, professionals, and civil servants. This group played a key role in shaping the city's culture, politics, and urban development. Education, newspapers, and cultural institutions flourished. The middle class invested in theaters, museums, and public spaces, contributing to a vibrant civic life. Barcelona became a city of ideas, debate, and innovation. While the 19th century brought prosperity, it also generated inequality. Factory workers faced long hours, low wages, and poor working conditions. This led to the rise of labor unions, strikes, and social movements. Barcelona became a center of political activism, with anarchist and socialist ideas gaining influence among the working class. These tensions shaped the city's identity as a place of resistance and social consciousness. The 19th century witnessed a cultural revival known as the Renaissance, which emphasized Catalan language, history, and identity. Writers, poets, and artists sought to reconnect with Catalonia's medieval past while embracing modern ideas. This cultural movement strengthened regional pride and influenced architecture, literature, and public life. Barcelona became the cultural capital of Catalonia, blending tradition with modernity. One of the most symbolic moments of 19th century Barcelona was the Universal Exhibition of 1888. Hosted in the city, the exhibition showcased industrial achievements, art, and innovation from around the world. The event led to major urban improvements, including the development of Parc de la Ciutadella and new monumental architecture. It announced Barcelona's arrival on the global stage as a modern, confident city. By the end of the 1800s, Barcelona had been completely transformed. The city had expanded far beyond its medieval core, adopted modern infrastructure, and developed a distinctive architectural style admired across Europe. No longer just a regional port city, but a dynamic industrial, cultural, and urban powerhouse. The foundations laid during the 19th century would shape Barcelona's future for generations to come.